The Last Jedi is a 2017 American epic space opera film written and directed by Rian Johnson. What's good? It's a Boy Dude Reviews, and today we're going to review the second installment of the sequel trilogy, the 8th episode of the 9-part Star Skywalker saga, and the 9th Star Wars film released by Lucas Ltd Films. And it stars Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Andy Serkis, Lupita Nyong'o, Domino Gleeson, Anthony Daniels, Gwendolyn Crystal, Frank Oz returning in their roles, and Kelly Marie Tran, Laura Dern, and Benicio del Toro joining the cast. The film was dedicated to Carrie Fisher, who sadly died in December 2016, and the film was dedicated to her memory. And it's also sadly the last film she appeared in. Rise of Skywalker in some scenes. The Last Jedi follows Rey as she receives Jedi training from Luke Skywalker in hopes of turning the tide for the Resistance in the fight against Kylo Ren and the First Order, while General Leia Organa, Finn, and Poe Dameron attempt to escape a First Order attack of the dwindling Resistance fleet. The Last Jedi is part of a new trilogy of films announced after Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilms in 2012. It was produced by Lucasfilms, distributed by Walt Disney, and it was directed by obviously Rian Johnson and executive produced by J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, as well as Ram Bergman, and the music score was done by John Williams, and it premiered at the Shrine Auditorium in LA on December 9, 2017 and released in the US on December 15, 2017. It grossed $1.3 billion worldwide, becoming the highest grossing film of 2017, the 7th highest grossing film in the US of A, and the 9th grossing film of all time. It's also the 2nd highest grossing film of the Star Wars franchise. And the film initially received positive reviews, but at the same time polarizing reviews directly after it. But the praise mainly went to its assembled cast, musical score, visual effects, action sequences, and emotional weight, while some other, criticisms went to other things as well. It is, out of all the Star Wars films released, the most polarized film. Some people consider it the worst film in the series. Some consider it to be the best since Empire Strikes Back, depending how you look at it. And, well, what do I think about this film? Well, let's talk about mainly what the critics talked about. And when the film first came out initially, it did initially receive a lot of good reviews from critics. Critics loved this film. Critics absolutely adored it, saying that it was different to The Force Awakens. It had new stuff going for it, but the audiences were more polarized, as I said, Initially, when it was released, people loved it and people hated it. But as time went on, people started to hate it more because it did some stuff that people were not too happy about, and it's kind of off and on, to be honest with you, I think people just wanted some of their fan theories to be served, and it just didn't do it for them, so that's why they just gave it terrible reviews. But at the same time, it got some really good reviews at the same time. So it's like, there's two sides of the different story. But what do I think about this film? Well, let's talk about the good. And what I do like about this film is that it's different to The Force Awakens. What I appreciate with this film is that it's the most different original Star Wars film out of all of them. It's very different. It's very, very different. It's very different. It does feel darker than the first one, and I just love all the Rey and Luke stuff, I love Luke Skywalker now. Mark Hamill has his opinions on him, but for me, I like this Luke. It makes sense as to why Luke is the way he is now, he's fed up with the Jedi, how hypocritical they are, and he's sad, and he's ashamed about what happened to Kylo Ren, and I just love all the stuff with Luke and Rey, and obviously Kylo Ren as well is also really amazing in this film. You can just see how tall he is. There's good in him, but he's so far gone to the dark side that he doesn't see any way of coming back, you know, and I loved all that stuff, you know. I really liked all the stuff. I liked the new aspects of what they did with the Force, you know, having that connection between Rey and Kylo was really great. I really enjoyed that. Leia always has the best scenes, the best dialogue, and it's just every time she's on screen, it's just a work of art. She's just character does her all in this film, just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Oh, it was great to see Frank Oz's Yoda again. Drunk Yoda, I love, you know, the way Yoda is in this film. He was hilarious. I loved him to death, and the visual effects really did the film justice. Like some of the cinematography and the mise en scène is so great, you know. Like I could do a whole essay on like the visual look of this film. It's great and it's phenomenal, and I loved it. It was really good, you know. At the same time, this film does have very off moments, you know. Like, in terms of my negatives, like the whole Finn and Rose side quest to go to Canterbury, it took you out of the film. Like, you were in a casino and it felt like you were on planet Earth, and the whole sequence just felt off to me. I didn't like it. I just thought it was terrible. Poe is also really arrogant in this film. I don't like his character at all. He's way too rash and, you know, kind of aggressive at times, to the point where I don't like this character at all in this film. He's become really unlikable to me, you know. Rose is a little bit why? Like, I don't know, I wasn't digging her character, or she was kind of boring, and I respected the actress who played her, but I wasn't a fan of Rose. And I feel like the biggest, like, people have said this to death, but for me, the biggest, like, letdown in this film is that it doesn't have an identity, and that's the main negative. The original trilogy had an identity. It had great visual effects, it had great cinematography, great storytelling, great characters that you root for, had a fun yet very dramatic and gritty, like, you know, tone to it. The prequels were a fun cartoon hodgepodge, but it had a look to it. It was very distinct. It had a lot of memorable quotes that I liked and enjoyed. But with these Disney films, particularly this one in particular, I mean, Force Awakens had its charm, but this one didn't really feel like anything, you know. It didn't have memorable quotes, it didn't have particularly great stuff happening, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that you don't really understand, you know. You're like, I still don't really get where the First Order came from. I don't get what Snoke's deal was at all. Like, everything about it was just like, this film is the longest Star Wars film, and we didn't understand anything. You know, there's nothing. We don't understand why Rey is so one with the Force. We don't understand, you know, I don't get why Kylo Ren is so, like, far gone in the dark side when he had two loving parents who loved him, and I don't get a lot of stuff in this new universe. You know, they didn't explain it. You know, but I'm gonna bash this film to death. It's just, I like it and I don't like it at the same time. Personally, I think this film might be a little better than Force Awakens just because it's different and it's more original. But it's less, actually I would say it's more fun, but I don't know, it kind of doesn't feel right to me, you know. And I feel like it's all the stuff that Mark Hamill said as well, like, you know, his reactions to the script and all that. He wasn't happy, and I when he's not happy, I'm not happy, and I felt off. You know, it didn't feel right to me, you know. But it's a decent flick, you know. I mean, I'm looking forward to the last installment, but let's see. With that said, this film gets a 6.5 out of 10. It's a B- for me. Go check it out. Thanks for watching this review. Please like and share this video, comment down below, tell me what's your favorite Star Wars flick. With that said, thanks for watching. As always, Boy the Review signing out.